So we can go ahead and get started. I want to thank you guys for coming. LinkedIn is one of the reasons why is because so many of us as college students are trying to start out our journey and look for employers. And I was one of those people who never used LinkedIn, had it for years, never touched it, had less than like 500, less than 100 connections. Amos, who works at Cal Poly Pomona, came to our class to give a LinkedIn workshop, and she really inspired me to start using my LinkedIn more. And I went from having less than 100 connections to now having over 500, and that's just in the span of this semester. So that's just a testament to if you really do use your LinkedIn, it can help you grow. So disclaimers, this is the agenda for today. I'm a big advocate of posting and sharing things on LinkedIn, but I'm also a huge advocate of privacy. So just be mindful of what you're posting and how you're posting on LinkedIn, especially if you're going to share and upload your resume to LinkedIn. Make sure that there's no like redact your home addresses and or phone numbers. Usually if a company wants to connect with you, they can do that over email. And then if you want to exchange your phone number, you can do so at a later time. But just be mindful of what you're posting on LinkedIn, just because everything's out there for the public. So I will start with LinkedIn, and Anais is going to go into the resume portion. Feel free to pop your questions in the chat. My team will be monitoring the questions for me. We will have a Q&A portion. Um, so we can go on. So, why is LinkedIn so important? Number one, it's a powerful, powerful job board, especially during times in COVID. You are basically LinkedIn. I use it to build your online brand. It's especially during this time, it's really hard to put your name out there since we can't physically go and shake people's hands. LinkedIn is a really great way to do that. Also, it helps you rank your name on Google. Like if you type in your name on Google, depending on how you have your LinkedIn profile set up, you can be like shown on Google. It's like called SEO, so search engine optimization, and then um, you can research companies and its employees. One of the reasons why I love LinkedIn is because you can, like, if you want to work at Tesla or Google or Microsoft, you can literally go to LinkedIn, type in the company or the employer, or find out who works there and see when they're hiring, and you can make that connection and start building rapport for your future job. LinkedIn also helps you demonstrate your knowledge, your credibility. It's really big for leadership expertise. And then one of the biggest reasons why we all use it is to network, right? So, LinkedIn stats. Here's some stats as of recently. Since COVID, LinkedIn has seen a surge of growth, mainly for two reasons. Mainly because of people want to expand their professional networks and make career moves. 94% of recruiters look at LinkedIn to vet potential candidates. I have I actually confirmed this with a recruiter from a big company. They asked me not to disclose their company or their name, but he was looking at a person's resume, looked at their LinkedIn. Turns out that the LinkedIn and the resume didn't match up and that person wasn't considered for interview. It is discrimination. There is a lot of biases, but recruiters do base a lot to see what you're doing on LinkedIn. And then over 90% of hiring managers will look at your social media before offering you an interview. Um, I have had everyone reach out to me for interviews through LinkedIn. They usually start with, "We saw your profile. We think you're going to be a great candidate." Um, so things like that. And then, so LinkedIn is free, but you can also pay for the premium. As a college student, I do not feel the need to pay for it, but depending on what you're using LinkedIn and where you're at in your career, you may want the free versus a premium. So for free, you get to build a network of connections with no limits on size or numbers. You can reconnect with any member on LinkedIn, creating a professional and detailed LinkedIn profile. Can give and receive unlimited numbers of recommendations. You can join or create up to 50 LinkedIn groups. You can request up to 5 introductions at one time, and you can perform unlimited number of searches for LinkedIn members as well as those who are in your extended network. And this is all for free. And I've been able to do all of that with a free account. Now, for premium, there's four types. You have the career, the recruiter, the sales navigator, and the business. And depending on what you're looking for, most of us will probably, if you end up paying for premium, it would probably be for the business and career, sometimes the sales navigator. For the premium version, it just allows you to send message to anyone on LinkedIn, regardless if he or she is on your network or your extended network. Sometimes when you connect with people on LinkedIn and you want to send them a message, it will say, "Oh, this person's not on your network. You can get the premium." If you do the premium, you can literally go ahead and message anyone without that being interferences. You can send more introductions than the basic account, viewing more LinkedIn profile information of people not in your network when you have advanced searches. You can see exactly who has viewed your profile and how they arrived at your profile. This is actually very appeasing because on LinkedIn, although the free does allow you to see who's viewed your profile, if someone has their account on private or hidden, you can't see that with the free version, but you can see that with the premium version. And then you can do a perform a reference check on someone. If you really want to use the LinkedIn premium, but you don't want to like keep it, there's a free trial. I think it's like 30 days for free, and you can go ahead and cancel at any time. So if you really want to check it out, you can. So LinkedIn profile checklist. This is my LinkedIn profile. It's not current anymore because it went from 479 to 500 as of today, but I'll be going over the photo, the headline, the about section, experiences, organizations, education, volunteers, awards, skills, courses and projects, and recommendations. Um, so for the this thing that I have, I think it's called a header that I have on my LinkedIn profile. I actually customize that using some free software. Um, Part of the people, if you reach out to me, I can customize one for you. That will be my little gift to you guys for attending it. And then making sure that we go over like what this profile means and such. So breaking down your LinkedIn profile. For example, um, I have seen people post like selfies on your LinkedIn. Don't do it. Save the selfies for Instagram. For LinkedIn, go ahead and have a professional photo. You don't need a fancy camera. You can literally prop your camera phone somewhere and just make sure it's a good headshot. Make sure your background is professional. Make sure you have a professional shirt with decent lighting. Um, Finn has a great profile, Amos, Marcelo, Audrey, all of those are great profiles. Ben's, yours is good, so is Christine's. I would just maybe take out anything in the background that's like a bedroom, keep it to like a window or like a clean wall. Um, smile on your LinkedIn profile. Don't be afraid to smile and get creative with your professional with your header. That was that thing that I customized. That's kind of like me showing some fun in my seriousness. For the headline, tell people what you're excited about and how and the things that you want to do in the future. So on mine, I say I'm an aspiring junior developer because I am a CIS major and I'm excited about web development. But I use verbs and acronyms to showcase that. For your about section in your LinkedIn, go ahead and talk about what gets you up in the morning, what motivates you, why do you do what you do. I will post my LinkedIn profile and show you what it looks like as of right now too. Um, Talk about what you're skilled at and what is next for you. Employers always want to know what you're doing next. They don't want to see you be stagnant. Uh, List all the conferences you go to, all the competitions you attend. Because of COVID, there are literally free conferences every day through Handshake, which is our school website. You can find it on Google, LinkedIn. So just go to conferences, learn, and then post about those learnings. And then for experience, a lot of us may say, I don't have experience. I just got out of high school or I just do school full time. List the jobs you did, even if they were part time. So if you volunteered part time at the Poly Post, or if you volunteered part time in retail, being on eBoard, that's a job experience. Being an active member of a club like PIHRA or FAST does count as experience, and go ahead and talk about what you're accomplishing in those clubs. Include videos or photos from where you're working. So if you're doing a big competition with your group mates, maybe not now during COVID, but before, I post pictures and show that engagement and show that like social aspect of you. Organizations, being a part of any clubs at school or inside school or anywhere in between. Talk about what you did. Cal Poly, even though we're in a virtual setting, you can still do this. Um, a lot of clubs are still meeting. Go ahead and get involved into a club. If you want to be on e-board for PIHRA, talk to Ethan, talk to Anais, talk to the people in your team, and start figuring out how you can build yourself up, because it gets kind of hard sometimes, which is very true. For education, starting with college, list all the experience if you've had any summer programs, any volunteer experience you did over the summer, any like volunteering or community service. For college students, focus on community college and university. If I don't put my high school on my LinkedIn, I did when I first started it. It just said high school and then it said my JC. But now that I'm at Cal Poly, I completely removed my high school and only keep my JC and my university. If you didn't transfer, I would just keep it at Cal Poly Pomona. If you're at a university, most times you can assume that you have a high school diploma, so you don't need to admit that. And I will go ahead and pull up my LinkedIn profile so I can show that to you guys. Even if you didn't pay for a job, be sure to list it. That counts as volunteer experience. Most times recruiters, HR managers, and employers view that as valuable paid work. If you worked retail, that's experience. For skills and expertise, list 5 skills. If you don't have 5 skills, you can take a LinkedIn learning class, which is free for us since we're Cal Poly students. And you can put Microsoft skills, you can put leadership, you can put Excel. Those are skills that you can put on your profile, and then your connections can endorse you and you guys can endorse each other. It's a really good way to do it. For those of you who are academic rock stars, if you're on the dean's list, the honors list, don't be shy about that recognition. Go ahead and post it, post why you were on the dean's list and such. For courses, because we're college students, this is where you can really shine. List the courses that you are taking. If you're taking HR classes, talk about what you did in those classes. If you're in technology, post like what you did in your database class or what you did in your programming class, because this is something that you can talk about to recruiters and employers when they say, what skills do you have? You can use the stuff you're doing in class and put that on your LinkedIn. And Cal Poly's whole motto is learn by doing. So really use that to your advantage. The projects that you post. So CPP is always giving us projects. You cannot graduate from Cal Poly Pomona without doing a group project. Talk about that. If you led a group project, talk about how you managed that team, talk about how you did it, where did you start, where are you going to end up. Recommendations, ask your managers, your professors, classmates, anyone that you've worked with to go ahead and talk about, to give you a recommendation. You can literally on LinkedIn to say, hey, Ethan, can you send me a recommendation? Can you write about that time we worked together? And I'll do the same for you. And if I personally know you and you ask me, I will go ahead and do it. And if I don't know you, I'll spend some time to go ahead and get to know you so I can do one for you. So making your LinkedIn profile complete. So this part of the LinkedIn, so I use my LinkedIn for resumes or on my professional Twitter. So there's this customizable link that you have when you click on LinkedIn on your profile. It'll say linkedin.com/your name. For most people, it looks like the first link I shared. This is someone's LinkedIn profile. It looks like this with a bunch of numbers. It's super messy. And when you post that on resumes, it doesn't always look great. You can actually go into settings, edit this to make it nice and clean. So before it had like Jacqueline A. Myers and it was like a million different letters and symbols. I just cut it down to where I had my name. You can do it on your own. I can totally walk you through that. It's a good way to make your profile look good, especially when you have to share it with other people. Know your stats. So on LinkedIn, you can post open to work and you can post on what type of industry you're looking for. For mine, I just did business and analyst roles, information technology, help desk support, software engineer, because these are all the things I'm kind of aspiring to do. So I have this on my settings and only recruiters see that, which is really good. So if you're currently working at an employer and you have to like pivot or you want to change different jobs, only recruiters that will see it. Use your dashboard. So this will show you, and it's on your LinkedIn profile. It shows you who viewed your profile, how many posts. So if you write a post, how many views, how many times your LinkedIn profile is being appeared in the searches. You can also see salary insights. So if you're having to negotiate a job offer, you can kind of see like how much you should negotiate for. You can also see, I use this part a lot. This is my LinkedIn. I just screenshotted this a few days ago. This is just me seeing where my LinkedIn profile is going and how it's doing. On days I don't use it, there was a few, like before school started during the summer, I didn't use it a whole lot, but it started slowly going up as I started being more engaged with it. So up your engagement. My favorite part about LinkedIn is the featured section. So you only have to do this, or you're only able to do this when you write a post. I know some of us have a hard time writing posts on LinkedIn because it's like, what do you write about? How do I present myself? Write about anything. If you attend a PIHRA meeting, if you attend a FAST meeting, if you learned anything from that meeting, go ahead and post about it. And then the things that really stood out to you or that you're really proud of, go ahead and put that in your featured section. For me, I competed in a competition last weekend. Really proud because we placed in the top 3. So I wrote a post about it and then posted it on my LinkedIn section. When I got an award for my club, I posted that to that way. It's just a highlight of the things that I've been really proud of. So go ahead and post. That's the biggest thing I can say is go ahead and by posting on LinkedIn, you up your writing skills, you up your grammar skills, you get community engagement, people see your profile. When you do post, go ahead and use hashtags. Go ahead, so depending on where you're posting, if you're posting about a leadership or a club, go ahead and use those hashtags, hashtag leadership, hashtag club. If your club has a trending hashtag, go ahead and use that. Um, LinkedIn Learning is free for us, like I mentioned, single sign-on. If you don't know how to do that, you can literally just go to LinkedIn Learning and they'll say, do you want to use a school account? And it'll take you to that. Take those classes, learn about it. You get free Microsoft skills, free Excel skills, all these that you can put on your resume. It's a free service. Use it, especially before you graduate. And so that's my portion about LinkedIn. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Anais. And then if you have any questions afterwards, please let us know.
Thank you, Jacqueline. That was amazing and very informative, and I absolutely agree. And it's actually something that I also mentioned when I conducted the resume workshop is that please, um, get your LinkedIn running. It's just going to help you network and also start building different skill sets. So I'm going to start off and I'm just going to briefly introduce myself. PIHRA members, you know me, and but non-PIHRA members, my name's Anais. Right now, um, I am an HR intern at a nonprofit organization, and my main role is recruiting, interviewing. I go through a lot of resumes. I do a lot of interviews. I also help with policies and procedures, onboarding, training, and all the fun stuff HR does. So I have to say that what I'm going to be sharing with you is based on my experience, but I also went and did some research as well. So it's not just opinion based, but it's actually based on data, and that's what's most important. So hopefully I can help you, and please leave all questions till the end, and not only for myself but for Jacqueline as well, and we'll be happy to assist and answer them. So we have those 2 resumes, and for the first thing I do want to cover is format. One of the biggest mistakes I see is the format is very inconsistent. You have different headers, the bolding is off, you'll use one font to display experience, but then you'll use a different font to actually write out your experience and what you've done. If you're going to do that, make sure it's still uh, readable, that it makes sense, that your eye is not drawn to every section, but there's this nice streamline of information and you can easily look at it. The best thing that I can do is use a little bit of empathy and understand if you're looking for a certain skill set, can you read your own resume? Can you quickly locate whatever skill sets that someone else might be looking for? And if you can't, then you need to redesign and reformat. It's probably the most important because there's also that application tracking system, and that is a computer that is going to be drawing off based off your resume, based on what the recruiter puts in the computer, and then they'll pull it up. So it's very important that format is on point. It's like my number one thing, please format. The best, according to that, it says the best format or the actual font to use is Arial, and Times New Roman. I can Roman, something like that. You know, the school one, basically. Um, so if you look to Donald Duck, and we have Daisy Duck, I changed them out. So if you notice on Donald Duck, this is what I would call for a student. If you're still not a senior and you're a sophomore, this is what I would do because it's very easy to read. You have your professional profile, but that could be a student profile, any projects you've done, anything that's relevant to your actual major, anything, any competitions, anything that would actually be relevant to whatever internship you're applying for. We also got area of expertise, or you can also put area of skill sets, all the skill sets that you currently have, if you know any either hard skills or soft skills, and I'll go more in depth on that. And then you have any more, and then you also have a different set at the bottom. And for that one, you can either put professional experience or you can also put your education, which is very important if you are still not a senior level. For Daisy Duck, if you notice, it's a different format, but it's worded differently. You have summary of qualifications, your education and training, and your internship experience. If you notice, they're all different, and it really just matters on what you're trying to gain. That's why it's very important to research the company you're applying for. If you want to highlight your skill sets, you would move that to the top. Your education, you would move that to the top. It really depends. If they're specifically looking for a set of skill sets in terms of project management or anything like that, you want to move that to the top for the most part. And Jacqueline, if you can please move the next slide. Now, or I would have to say, this is what I would recommend if you are a senior, because it's getting you to that next level. It's kind of letting that recruiter know I'm ready. Um, they know that you are coming out and you're new and you're fresh, entry level. But this resume is saying I may be entry level, but I know what I'm doing. I know what I want, and I'm going to clearly demonstrate that in this resume. It's going to be super easy to read. It's going to be super easy to pinpoint everything that I need to do. If you notice at the one of the resumes, the format's very easy because you got your skill sets once again, easy to identify. One of the biggest tips is look at the job description and actually see if you have any of those skill sets and incorporate that in your resume. If you have a specific company you really want to target, then I would actually re-customize that resume. One of the tips that I would recommend is have a paper with all your listed experiences, everything that you've done. Whether you use it or not for that specific resume that you're going to be submitting, it doesn't matter. You have something to keep track. Another thing me and Jacqueline discussed is LinkedIn is great to also keep track of how you've been growing and also what you've been doing, any projects. So also make sure that also matches, because if your resume and your LinkedIn don't match or something's a little off, then it's going to cause recruiters to think like, okay, what's going on? So make sure that that's very clean. So I have an example here, and I just want to quickly say, so like let's say the job ad says this for a front end developer, and they're looking for specific skill sets, JavaScript, wireframing. So for an entry level resume, you would want to put a good example would be like, okay, freelance front end developer. I used JavaScript to develop patient intake web from veterinary office. I wrote web app to sell wood cravings with CSS and JavaScript. You're using action verbs. You're not just describing I. Please don't use I. Do not use I. Use action verbs. And now you're tying that into the job description itself, if that makes sense. Um, if we can move on to the next one, please. Yes, be creative, use the power of the words. There's a difference between action verbs and keywords, and I'm going to go a little bit of what that means. If we want to look into action verbs, this is the words you want to use. You do not want to be using I. You want to be using facilitated. If you're saying I helped, I facilitated, I clarified, I coached, I demonstrated, I motivated, or motivate, and without the I. I'm saying you would start off with motivated. If you taught, you want to say clarified, adapted, developed, persuaded, trained. Soft skills are just as important as hard skills. So please don't overlook these verbs. They're very important because teamwork, I think, is very crucial, especially in industries that want innovation. You're working amongst team. They also want a little bit of ability to be a leader. So please be aware of these action verbs. They're very important and they're different from keywords. They're not the same. So if we can move forward. So yes, and this is based on data. You have 7 seconds to make a great impression. Literally, when I'm going through resumes, I'm just going right to what I want to see. So I have a job description. I'm going to go based off that. Hiring manager said I want them to know JavaScript and I want them to have X amount of experience. And I want them to be that show that they're a team player. That's what I'm looking for. I'm quickly zooming through that resume and I'm trying to find anything that's relevant to that. And and if there is, then I'll say, okay, I think there's a good candidate. We should pull it, and then we'll go forward into the next process. If you're, like I said, if your resume is not clear, there's too much wording. Less is more. I'm not kidding about that. Really, less is more. But learn to make statements that are impactful. Like it's just one or two, but boom, it hits it on the nail. Exactly what you want to be delivering. You don't have to be writing a whole bunch of words because let's be honest, the companies were not they're not going to be zooming through all those pages unless there's a specific reason, but no. So it's very important to keep in mind format, how much content you're giving, and is it really relevant? Because if you're writing things but it's not relevant to the actual role, then you really need to reconsider why you're putting it on there. We just want you to have those skill sets we're looking for so that we can call you in for an interview. And the next one, yes. So we want to be highlighting your transferable skills. As college students, we have lots of transferable skills. We just don't know about it. You really have to really dig deep about what skills do I have. So soft skills, problem solving, leadership. Sometimes you're in a group project and you have to be the leader because no one else wants to be the leader. So like, okay, now I'm going to start using leadership skills. What does it take to get a group of people together? What does it take to complete a task? All that matters. Teamwork, collaboration, what does that look like? That's why it's, for me personally, one of my tips that I do anytime that I am doing any type of project, I write that down. I literally have a page where I write down, okay, what did I do? What was my role? What was the project? What was the objective? What were the results? And did we accomplish them? So if I ever go in an interview, I have something already to fall on and say, oh yeah, I've done that before. I actually have I have a perfect example. And that's just to help me understand what can I offer and also what I've done, because it's super easy to forget what you've done. I mean, we do so many things throughout school, throughout college, throughout our lives. It's hard to really keep track of all the impact that we've done. And it's usually someone else that notices what you've done versus yourself. Hard skills, writing skills, computer skills, management skills, and presentation skills. And that really is, there's a bracket. It's not just there, but it branches off and it goes more in depth on what that means. If we can please go to the next slide. So I specifically went with hard skills and more in technology, web development, and all, and languages, just because I know for PIHRA I went over a little bit about what would relate to us, but for fast, I wanted to make something more relevant to you. Computer skills, cloud security, network security, user support, programming skills, Java, C++, Python. Those are the type of things that if you have any experience, or hackathons, I believe I've heard there's something called a hackathon. If you participated on those, if you've done anything that has to do with competition that is relevant to what you're applying for, please don't be intimidated by big companies. They know that we're coming off fresh out of the oven and we're just very anxious and ready to get our skills and start using. So you don't have to lie. You have to just be very honest, very detailed, very conscious of what they want. and being able to deliver that in 1 or 2 bullet points and make it very impactful. So that way they you don't need to add so much detail. Just make sure it's the right detail. It's the important one. And if we can go to the next one. Oh, and thank you. Is there any questions? I think my one last comment is there's a misconception when it comes to resumes. I know there's a question right now. Don't include pictures. Um, if they need to see you, they could go to your LinkedIn or a different social media. I would recommend not to put any. It takes up space, and you can use that space to put a different something else, something of more value. So I don't recommend pictures. Are paper resumes enough? I believe not. I think that's why it's important to have a LinkedIn. Actually, data shows that more than 85% of applicants got a job because of the network, not necessarily because they went through the actual system. It's because I knew someone that knew you, or I looked at your LinkedIn, it looked great, and then that's how it happened. So that's why networking, more than anything, it's super, super, super important.
We have a question,
Yeah.
and it was from Lewis saying, would you ever go with a 2-page resume?
Only if you look at your 2-page resume and you absolutely feel that it's absolutely necessary to include that much information. I honestly think less is more. And if you're able to deliver your impact for the company, all those important relevant skills, if you look at the job description and you actually highlight some and put it in your resume, you use your action verbs, you use your keywords, I don't think a 2-page resume is necessary. Um, I understand completely why you would think more content is better, but for me, really less is more. When I'm zooming through those resumes, I'm just looking for what I need. And if I get lost in too much wording, I might be like, oh, no, 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 I don't even know what I'm looking at right now. So it's very important to keep that in mind that it's keep in mind the reader. And every recruiter is different or every hiring manager is different. So I can't say there's like a golden way of doing things. We're all different. But I do know that at least we're all on point when it comes to format is important. Because if I can't get through it, if I can't identify the things that I need to identify, then I'm gonna go towards someone that it might be easier to look for what I need. Hopefully that answers your question.
I had a question. So, if you perform or if you like competed in competitions, what section would you put that in for LinkedIn?
I would put it, I would, okay, let me try. I would put, for competitions, I would put it in volunteer, or if you have no job experience, then put it under experience. So it depends, like if you've had like internships and or if you worked, I would just leave it alone. I would keep it in volunteer because it shows that you are doing something out of your time. So I think it depends. I tailor it to who it is that's asking for it. So for me, all my competitions, as you will see, go under, I think I can pull it up really quick, go under my experience section for LinkedIn. Marcelo, I know you asked about, I don't know if this is for LinkedIn, I'm assuming for resumes. What do you do when the company asks if you will need sponsorship in the future? So if you leave oh, so many questions. Okay, so I'm assuming that question, Marcelo, is for Anais during the application itself.
During the application itself, it does ask that. And you just have to be honest. You don't want to start off your professional career lying or not stating what you need. If it asks and you do need sponsorship in the future, then you need to be honest and just say yes. You'll be surprised at just how many companies are willing to work with you um, and are very helpful in terms of looking for talent. So yes, if that's what you need, I would put yes.
Catherine.
And there's another question.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
David Brown asked, what should I highlight if I'm also applying for research in addition to an internship/job?
Is this for resume or for LinkedIn? I think for both.
Both.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, for LinkedIn, I would say what would you highlight if I was also applying to for research in addition to an internship? I would highlight what are you doing, or what have you done that that internship or job would like. So for example, if you're applying for the Broncos student lead, they're gonna want to know like what have you been doing up until that point for us to consider you as a candidate. So I would list anything that you have done or done in the past and then market that. And I would put that in I would write about it. I would honestly write about like what you've been doing and market that on your LinkedIn. You can do that as a post and put it in your features section. You can do it as if you volunteered for those companies and put it in the volunteer section, but it depends on what you're wanting to do it for. And you can always reach out to me and I can walk you through that process. And then I'll let Anais answer the question for resume.
Yes. David, can you elaborate a little bit of what exactly is it that you're asking in terms of you're applying for research in addition to, so you want to use the same resume to apply for multiple different purposes? Is that what you're saying? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then you have to make, then if you're going to go and use your one resume and you want to make it more generalized, then you really have to get a little bit of everything. So you have to look at what you're applying for in terms of the internship and include some of the keywords from there, but also include a little bit of what they want, soft skills or hard skills. And if you are also using that to apply for research, then you also have to include a little bit of detail that would be relevant to what they're looking for. Remember that less is more and you don't have to include so much, but whatever you do include, it has to just make sense to whoever's reading it. So I when I first applied to the jobs in the beginning, I had a generic resume and all I did was list every type of experience I had, but I made sure that I tailored it to fit whatever role I was applying to. So the most relevant to that job would go to the front, would be right where they easily would see it. And you would be surprised, I got a lot of calls. So I'm not against generic or having one resume for multiple, but I do highly recommend a more targeted resume for your dream company, if that makes sense. So if for that, I would just make sure you include things that they want to see as well within that resume.
How would you go about increasing connections in LinkedIn? Cool. So let me go ahead and show you let me pull it up really quick. So this is my LinkedIn. As you can see, this is what I have going on. I post a lot. If you follow me, I write about anything and everything. So I go to posts and you can see I write about everything. For PIHRA, for clubs, for different events I've attended. I literally will write about anything and everything as long as I make sure it's meaningful. So for example, how I go about connections, I will start with, for example, like I would go to the person's connection. So if I know Ethan or Anais or Amber or Finn and I'm connected with them, sometimes I just go through their connections and say, a lot of the time we know the same people, but we're not connected to the same people. So sometimes I will go ahead and go to their connections and I will start messaging them. Anytime I give someone a connection request, I write a personal note. I say, hi, I'm Jacqueline. If I know them, I say, hey, I know you from so and so, would love to connect with you. Um, I have been kind of bold and I have reached out to like people who I aspire to. So like recruiters for like JPL or Microsoft or Google or any of those big companies. I will go to the hiring managers and connect with them and say, hi, like I follow you. I love what you're doing for your company. I would love to connect with you. If you have some time, I would love to catch up and talk to you for like a 10-minute coffee virtual talk. Yes, Amos follows me. Thank you so much, Amos. She's so great. I go ahead and you're at the stage in your career where you thank you. You're at the stage of career where you can really make mistakes and grow. The biggest mistake I see what people do is when they're about to graduate, they're like, oh, I didn't do enough while I was in school. Use this time to really make the time to make mistakes, learn and grow. When you start doing your first post, it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. but you're gonna get yourself better. Practice makes perfect. If you want to know bold, talk to Marcelo and how he approached reaching out to people on LinkedIn. Yes, Marcelo is great for that. Marcelo is very bold when he connects. And if you connect with someone and they don't want to connect with you, that is totally fine. Just keep trying. I didn't reach 500 connections overnight. It really took me working up that connection and really building my personal brand. And now I'm more comfortable going to people and saying, hi, I follow your page. I see what you're doing. I really like what you're doing. Can we connect? And I'll say, you have 10 minutes for a virtual coffee chat? Every time I've asked someone, they've said yes. I've never gotten a no. I don't know if that's just luck or just me being super persistent, but that's how I would go about finding out connections. And John, if you mention on Slack, I know you're on Slack, go ahead and reach out to me and we can go through that and we can start building your profile. For everyone here, definitely reach out to me, connect with me. I will make sure to edit right here is you can edit your header. This is where you do it. So this is how you can do it. So we'll go through that with you. I'll help you do your header if you would like a customized header. We will literally go through your profile. I don't mind doing that. I forgot how to go back to LinkedIn. There we go. Let me see what questions we have.
I think I missed a question.
Here's a question from David Brown. Should I mention my senior project on my resume if I am currently working on it?
Yes, just put present. Just make sure you add, you know how they have the little dates when you start working and then /present. And then that lets you know that it's still being a work in progress. But they know that you're doing something and that might be very interesting to the person that's actually looking at it. So that's really, you don't have to wait till something's completed to actually post about it or actually write on your resume. It's just like when you're working and you're still working, but you're looking for another job. You just would say, still my current job, still present. I did miss another question by Catherine, and it says, if you leave a company because the work environment wasn't the best, how do you respond to why did you leave the company without stating anything bad about the employer? This is very important. It's one of those tricky questions because it speaks more about you. They want to know in the future if you were ever to leave them, would you say something that would be negative about them and their reputation? So you just have to dig deep and be very cautious how you state things. One of the things that I use is don't give too much information in the sense that just answer the question very courteously, very politely, but don't elaborate so much on it. Just be like, well, the reason I left is because I was seeking a different opportunity. I want to grow, and I noticed that your company has an avenue of which I want to really explore, and so forth. You're not saying anything bad about the previous company, and you're also complimenting their company. And then you can end it at that. You don't have to keep talking, because the more we talk, the more mistakes we can make.
It's very true.
I have a question too. So I've heard like conflicting things about like how much content you should put onto like your little sections. I've been told like you can just copy and paste your resume bullets. You should keep it to a sentence. I've also been told that like you should just keep it short and then like lure them into reading your resume. So like I kind of want to know what's your guys' opinions on like how much should you put in those sections?
For LinkedIn or on your resume
Oh,
itself?
LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn, I go ahead and post everything, but I post what, like, for example, let me show you. Give me a second, Ethan. So right here for your employers, right? Like job wise.
Or are you asking about the about
Yeah.
me?
No, sorry, about the experience portions. Yeah, like I've been told like keep it short. I've also been told like, one sentence, do as much as you can. If they want to read more, they can read all of it.
Here's what been told the same thing, so I kind of do it in the middle. So I'm like on ACE, I'm very big on a catch-all document. I have it on like an Excel spreadsheet where I list every job I've ever done, and I also use LinkedIn. For example, I will research my old job. So like if I see other people who were a treasurer in a club, or a vice president in a club, I go and look and see how they did it because sometimes we just need a little bit of inspiration on how to do it. Um, I would say put as much as you think you need to talk about it, but I wouldn't overdo it. So, for example, right now I just have 3 bullets, but I try to do the 3 bullets that I think are most important. I have considered going back in and adding more, but I think that I wanna leave a little room for mystery, and I wanna be able to talk about myself, so I just keep 3 for right now, and so if a recruiter says, "Oh, I see that you did, so and so for FAST, like, can you tell me more about that?" Then I can just go in and talk about it. I don't wanna put too much of information on LinkedIn, but, just enough to where you know what I'm doing, you know where I'm going. So I would do 3 to 4, no more than 5 bullet points. I don't think you should just do a sentence, but that's my personal opinion because you wanna see your growth. I wanna be able to read your profile and know what you're doing and why you're doing it. So for all of mine, except for when I did note taking, I have 3 or 4. So I won't go past 3 or 4 bullets, no, so no max than 5, but make sure the very most important ones are at the top.
Okay, cool, awesome.
Yes. And then I can't see my chat, so if you guys have questions, you have to tell me. Um,
I have a quick question.
yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I guess this can relate to both LinkedIn and my resume. Um, right now, I'm a graduating senior, and I don't really have much experience as far as HR goes. I'm an executive board member. I try to be as involved as possible in school, but as far as entry level jobs, they always require like 2+ years, which makes it kind of, I guess, very difficult for me to want to apply to a job. So when it comes to like past experiences, for example, I've only been doing been in the service industry, like restaurant, basically my whole life. How can I use that and like utilize that for any entry level? Because that's pretty much all I have as far as experience under my belt.
Which do you wanna go first on Ace or
Um, yeah, you can go first, Jacqueline.
okay. Audrey, so I common question, get that one a lot actually. Number 1, are you on e-board of PIHRA? What's your position for PIHRA?
I'm the treasurer for PIHRA.
Okay. Oh, so you do it. Okay, so we're the same thing. So
Love it.
post what you do for PIHRA, post that's leadership in itself. Serving is actually experience. You are dealing with tons problem solving, critical experience. Being a server, my friend that's like a sister to me is a server. So I told her, talk about the fact that you can problem solve on your feet. You're literally dealing with customer interaction all the time. That is also considered customer service. So you are problem solving, you have critical skills, you know how to manage your time, you know how to work your way through the room. All of that can be translated on your LinkedIn, on your resume. Reach out to me and we'll go through like the company that you're working for or the server that you're working for, and we'll bridge both of those and we'll add it to your LinkedIn and we'll make sure that it's done tastefully and not like, oh, I'm just a server, because you're much more than just a server. You're doing a multitude of different things under one umbrella. And I'm sure you've taken the lead at whatever restaurant you're working at. So we can work on that for sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say the same thing. It really is on perspective. Sometimes when we look at things, we see a box and we think, oh, we have to just fill in the box exactly how society says, exactly of what we think we should. But no, be creative, think outside of the box, really start analyzing just everything you've done. Um, I recently had a conversation with someone and they told me I have no experience whatsoever. I'm like, are you sure? Like, yeah, like tell me a little bit what you do. What type of things you do? Well, I tutor students and I also I manage some of my family's accounts. And I'm like, oh, perfect. There we go. You account manager and you track finances, you monitor them, you also resolve problems that have to do with management of finances. In terms of tutoring, you're a mentor, you're a leader, you create content for the people you are teaching. And see how I'm getting very creative? You're not lying, you're just elevating and you're really exposing what you do. sometimes if we just get outside of that perspective, even with the format, like I've said this multiple times, your resume is your story, but it's a story for them to like pull them in on why they should hire you. So you have a lot of great attributes, and I'm pretty sure you have a lot of great experiences where you did conflict management, resolution, where you custom. A lot of big companies are all about customer first, customer obsession. Amazon. I'm pretty sure you can pull some like. Can you tell me about a time where you went above and beyond for a customer? Oh yeah, I did like 8 plates. I held them. Something, and then talk about time, how fast you serve them, like all these things. And then another side note, also think about volunteer work, remote work. There's a big opportunity now in terms of being able to connect with people, and I've met some of the most coolest people in my network through volunteer work. Um, and even if it's something that you might consider, maybe even a part-time non-paid job that they cater to HR. Like myself, I did a non-paid internship with HR. I learned a lot. I wasn't paid, but I really wanted to gain that understanding. So there's just a lot of different avenues you can take. But your work is valuable. It's just about framing it.
Would
I have a question from Steve. Would you remove irrelevant experience from a part-time job for projects and classes?
I would, if it doesn't, if it serves no purpose. If it serves no purpose to what you are really applying for, like absolutely you can't pull anything that would be even the soft skills or the hard skills. We're talking about that, and you find that the project speaks more to them, to something that they're looking for, then yes. And here's another tip: when you're constructing your resume, I know that a lot of times you think, oh, I have to just pack it up, each section has to have X amount of bullets. That's not necessarily true. On mine, what I do is like my HR experience that has the most bullets, but on the other ones that are older past experience, I use one bullet, two bullet that really like speaks exactly what I did, to straight to the point, that relates to whatever the job is, and then I'm done with it. You don't have to pack each experience with multiple bullet points. Just make sure it's relevant and important and concise. Use numbers.
yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. If you can use numbers. Numbers are nice.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would go ahead and depend, and even if you don't have a peer, like have people like PIHRA, fast people who know how to build LinkedIn and resumes to look over your stuff for you. It's great. Have your peers help you out. Sometimes you might think the job that you're doing was irrelevant, but through another lens, you might find that it actually did have experience or did have relevance. So you can omit some things but highlight other things. So but I definitely agree with Anais. Yes, and Catherine. It's many times it's not where you work, but what you learn there. So experiences are big ones. Once again, I am also a giver of time. I appreciate time. So if you guys have any questions, I drop my LinkedIn. If you want me to go through your LinkedIn profile, I have no problem doing that. I really want to make sure that Cal Poly Pomona students are the ones getting hired and the ones like just excelling and going to above the moon. So I'm really passionate about Cal Poly Pomona. I love helping my fellow students, and you don't have to be LinkedIn is a great tool, and you don't have to, even if you think you have no experience, you do. You need someone to help you highlight that, and we can totally do that for you. Thank you so much for coming. My first time ever giving a LinkedIn workshop. I've done tons of presentations, but none like this. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate you spending your Friday evening with me. If you have any questions for myself or Anais, message me. PIHRA, if you need to get a hold of me, Anais and Ethan know me very well. So you can go to them and they'll give you my information. I do not mind. If you have any other questions, let me know. If not, I would love to, make sure that you get to enjoy the rest of your Friday evening.
Thank you both so much for this informational meeting. It was really great to listen to.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I can't wait to connect with everyone. Thank you so much.
Yes, connect with each other on LinkedIn. Don't be afraid to be like, okay, I have their names. you can go ahead and connect with people. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here for. So go ahead and connect with each other. And if you need help connecting with each other, please let me know. We'll make sure to get you all connected. Thank you so much. I know Anais dropped her LinkedIn profile in. If you want each other's LinkedIn profile, go ahead and add us. We'll help you. David's is really great too. Well, you know what I can do? If you guys reach out to me and send me your LinkedIn's, I'll just compile a big list for you all and we'll send that out. So I'm gonna see if I can take information from like everyone's LinkedIn and connect to you guys. So if you have a LinkedIn and you want to share it with everyone else, let me know. I'll make a document. David is a mood. He really is. David is great. I personally know him. He is phenomenal. I love his energy. He's stellar. David's a great, he's great, he has a great hard skills. He is super smart. Love him to death. But if that's it, you guys are free to go. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all, and I can't wait to hear from you. So thank you so much.